Ray will be in here in just a second, and we're going to get started. We're going to be talking about all 4 Clair abilities, not all of them today because it's a lot. But we're going to be talking about 4 of the Clair gifts. Let me see. Okay, Ray, let me... It's not showing me your invite for some reason. Let's see. This has been acting wonky. I'm gonna see if I can request you again. Oh, I'm doing good, Nicole. Thank you for asking. Thank you. TikTok wants to act funky with asking people to be in here. Ray, can you request again? Because for some reason it's not letting me let you in. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hello. Hey, Justin. Hey, Ray.
Hello, am I on?
Hey. Yeah, I think it just takes a second to like get going with the like co-hosting or guesting because it just popped up like a second ago. So
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, so we already have a bunch of people in here. We're so excited to talk to everyone today. Oh, that's a good idea. I need to drink some water.
Been hydrating a lot this morning.
Yeah, there's a lot of like heavy, dense energy going on right now too. I don't know if anybody else is feeling that with this new movie.
It was really cool. Yesterday, my sister had this wild dream last night. Fun fact, everyone, I interpret dreams. It's like...
Oh no! Ray disappeared. So we'll get her back in here in a second. So the new moon energy, I don't know if anybody else is feeling that very heavily. Some people are more attuned to that and feel it, especially if you're a fire sign. Oh, hey, Erin. Hey. Caught and alive, I've been sick. Oh, I'm sorry you've been sick. I'll be praying for you. I was going to check on you actually because I hadn't heard from you. So I'm sorry that you haven't been feeling well. I'll continue to keep you in my prayers. What a cliffhanger, Ray. Right? Keeping everybody on their toes here. Okay, here we go. Everybody said you left him on a cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. You're like, so I interpret dreams and then...
Yeah. So even though my family, they're not like super into what I do when they have crazy dreams, I am the dream interpreter, you know? So, my sister actually had a very spiritual dream last night and, it was really cool. When you were talking about like dense energy or like things shifting, it was a very profound dream for her. And I told her, because sometimes she like receives what I say about the dreams and sometimes she doesn't, but it's interesting how she'll tell me about them. But then she's like, oh, I don't think it means that. I'm like, why are you coming to me?
Then why did you? Maybe her subconscious is trying to like reach out to you. See what I'm saying?
We had a great day yesterday. She's really learning some stuff, even though she's still in Christianity and everything. She's really been very open to other people's ideas lately. It's been very nice to see. So I'm very,
That's beautiful. And it's because she has like such an open sister too. So, you know, sometimes you have to like plant seeds here and there. And then it just like, being open with people helps a lot.
That's funny you say that because that's what she says. She's like, you know, you plant seeds with who you are. And she's been using one of my, how do I say it? Like, I don't want to call it one of my tactics because I don't want it to sound manipulative, but when people are trying to talk at me and they don't care about my perception, I know that's happening. And so I'll just keep asking them questions about what they want to talk about, if that makes sense. And she started to do that. And I was like, oh, really? Where'd you learn that from? She was like, you. And it was like one of the proudest moments of my life. I was like, oh my gosh. It's like something went through, but I never do things with the intention of it impacting someone. I've just decided this is how I'm going to go about things. If it's received, it's received. If it's not picked up, it's not. So, you know, but it was kind of cool.
I think that is beautiful and like being authentically you too. Like, I'm just going to say what I say. And if it's received,
be who I am, you know.
Jess said, anyone feel like last week was almost a complete blur? Time gets real slippery sometimes. Like it feels like it goes by really fast and then really slow, just depending on where you're at.
Yeah, I can barely remember like if it's not today, sometimes I even have a hard time remembering what I did in the morning if someone asked me in the afternoon. It's a very strange thing that's happened over time. It's very weird. So my whole life feels like a blur a lot, Jess.
Same. Same. So, I look back at my life and I'm like, I was such a different person in all these different phases. Like, it's really like wild to think about. Like where I'm at now compared to like 20 years ago.
Right.
Yes, this last year has been a blur. I also think that's because there's just like so much going on, like collectively, like just so much happening, and so like we kind of get like lost in the sauce with the events. Yes.
Well, awesome. Should we start on the lecture? Should we start with the talk?
Yes. Yes. So before we start, I wanted to say Ray and I have a Facebook group, Journey to Awakening with Brittany and Ray, and it is in both of our bio links. And then we just went over all the chakras and how to listen to your intuition, and we're starting with the clairs, and so we're putting like tons of resources in there for everyone to get started on your journey, or maybe you need a refresher, or maybe you want to focus on specific areas in your life. And so if you want to join that, it's free. We would love to have you. And then Ray, do you want to talk about the school a little bit before we get started?
We can. I just forgot to put the link in my bio, so that's why I'm like looking down. I'm trying to put it in my...
If you want to do that, I can talk about it if you want to.
Yeah, if you want to, just in case. I feel like since it's on your live, they're going to go to your links more, but I should probably have it in there just in case.
Okay, sure. So Ray and I are starting a spiritual gift school. And so we're going to be teaching people a lot of the things that we do and that we have learned along our journey. And so this is more like a mentorship. This is a lot of one-on-one interactions with me and Ray, and then group coaching. And then we're going to be doing readings in there for people. So it's just a more way to connect with us, but also receive like resources that you need. We're going to be teaching about subconscious and chakra and shadow work and intuition, all the fun spiritual things. So if you want to subscribe to get emails from us about that, when we're going to open, we should open in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So if you want more information, there's links in both. Well, Ray's putting in hers now, but there's a link in my bio you can go to, and then we'll email you about it.
What did you name the link? I'm just curious.
Which one?
The YouTube one.
Oh, I did Clair. Oh, yeah. So if anybody wants more information on the clairs, thank you for the reminder. I put Clair, Psychic Clair playlist link. So there is a link in my bio, and Ray's put in hers too. And I created a YouTube playlist, and it has all different resources about all the different clairs. And we're constantly like adding in there. So if you're trying to figure out which one you're more prevalent in, or you're just hearing about this and want to learn more about it, that's a great place to go. So yes.
So Journey to Awakening is free. Journey to Awakening is free, but our paid Facebook group, we haven't like had a concrete price yet. People that get into it in the first 6 months are probably going to get a cheaper price than later on. So we'll see how things go. But we'll update you. Just put your name on the list. Like, it's no pressure. If you're curious about the school, we're going to put that out a little bit later. In like a couple weeks, we'll know the set price. So just like subscribe to the mailing list. Okay, so Brittany, do you want to go first? Do I want to go first talking about the clairs?
Sure. Yeah, I can go first if you want. Do you want to tell everybody which clairs we're going to be talking about? I'm going to be doing Clairaudience and talking about Clairsentience.
Yeah. And then I'll be talking about clairvoyancy and claircognizance. So,
yeah. Also, I wanted to say, just like how some people are born with the innate ability to play musical instruments, and like you have that natural talent, you can still learn to play the violin, right? And so you can learn any of these gifts. Like, lots of people have different areas in which they specialize in, but they work with different clairs. And so you can practice and become stronger in all of them. Just some people have more of a gift in one area that they are naturally talented in. Right. So don't feel like you only have one or you can't experience the others before we get started with that.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so clairaudience is the gift of hearing. And so with this, sometimes people think that you hear things like outside of you, and sometimes that's true. Like sometimes you hear, you know, spirits on the other side, or you pick up on things like out and about around you. A lot of the times it's internal. And so like me, when I'm working with spirit guides, with people like I'm doing sessions with, I internally hear guides speaking to me, or their ancestors, or their past loved ones, or whomever. And so a lot of that is internal in your mindscape. And so when people start working with this gift, a lot of times they get stumped because they say, I don't know what's the difference between my voice and my spirit guide voices. And so I tell people what you could do, what I did, which was helpful, was to ask them to speak in a different persona, a different personality, a different accent, a different inflection, something that's different from my own internal voice. And some of my guides do that. They have different personalities. Some of them are very sassy. Some of them are very like matter of fact. But that is one way that you can utilize that gift. And so if you have clairaudience, I'm going to talk about some of the signs. You said that's my struggle. Yeah, you can ask them to speak in different tones than yours. Does that make sense? And then you can kind of differentiate. So you might be hyper aware of like sink faucets dripping, like if that bothers you, or like clocks. Like if I'm in a room full of people, I can hear the clock across the room ticking. It's always been a thing. Like I'm very hyper aware of micro sounds. Hey, Haley. Hey, very, very hyper aware. You're just very attuned to isolating different sounds. People chewing gum, you can hear that like across the room. You get overwhelmed by very crowded areas. It's like overstimulation. You get ringing in your ears. Ringing in your ears is a sign that your guides are trying to speak to you as well. So oftentimes they're trying to, you said that's why I don't own a clock. I have no clocks in my house. I don't do clocks. Yeah. It's just, yes. So when you get ringing in your ears, that is often your guides trying to ping you and let you know that they're near and that they're trying to send you a message. So something you can do to practice with that is you can think of what were you thinking of right before that. So your ears start ringing. What were you thinking about? Okay. And another thing you can do with that too is you can program your ears. You can say, if I get ringing in my left ear, it's my intuition trying to talk to me. If it's my spirit guides, ancestors, ascended masters, teachers, gurus, it's my right ear ringing. So you can actually program your ears to do that for you. But when you get that ringing, what were you thinking about right before? It's often them trying to tell you, let's be more mindful of our thoughts, or let's dig into what you were thinking about a little bit more. Or sometimes it's just them saying, hey. So
could mean that you need water too, so keep that in mind, guys.
Do what?
Sometimes it means you need water as well. Just keep that in mind too.
That's, you know, so that's a very
They're associated with the kidneys, I think. I think whenever your ears ring and you haven't drank water, it has something to do with the kidneys, and your ears will ring as well. Just like a shout out to that too.
I did not know that they were in association with the kidneys. That's awesome. Oh, hey, Blanche.
I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on it, but
I have to sleep with earplugs because any sound would just drive me nuts, and I start thinking. Yes. Oh, what if all of your guides have different preferences? Crystal, what do you mean by the different preferences? Do you mean different ways to speak? Also, people that have clairaudience, like I said, sometimes you can get very, very overwhelmed in crowds. And I just found out about these special earplugs that you can put in. They're not very expensive, and it filters out background noise. Like if you get very overwhelmed, like I think it's called loop earplugs. If you need the link, you can message me and then I'll send it to you. But I'm gonna get some because that happens to me a lot. But that you might want to work with that too. So if you hear your name being called and nobody's actually calling it, that is another sign of clairaudience. It might be your guides. It might be a loved one on the other side trying to get your attention. You also might have had an imaginary friend when you were growing up. And so that could be your higher self actually taking like a auditory form and you speaking to your higher self or one of your guides. So a lot of people that have clairaudience had imaginary friends as children. Okay. You can also be, did you want to add anything, Ray? I want to pause.
No, you're doing great.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Okay. So with guiding conversation. So this is also about intentional listening. Like sometimes we listen to each other or we're not actually like paying attention to the other person and what they're saying. People that have clairaudient abilities are very good at intentional listening. So that is what is that person saying that they're not actually saying? What is underneath, like the subconscious things that are going on, or their feelings, thoughts, and emotions, like picking up on like the vibration and frequency of what they are saying, but what they're not saying. And so oftentimes people that have clairaudience are very drawn to professions where they can use their intentional gifts. So maybe like a life coach, working in the mental health arena, being a nurse, just anywhere we have to utilize intentional listening. So if you are in a profession like that, you probably have that gift. Okay. Haley said, my imaginary friend was Teddy from the 90s, Little Women, huge crush. That's adorable. I love that. So you're also really good at making choices. Like you listen to your own internal voice. People with clairaudience are usually very in tune with their intuition because you have an internal voice always talking in your head. So you are always working things out, like very, very self-discovery, self-aware. Okay. I missed 15 minutes. Sorry, guys. It's okay. I'm recording this. So we'll have it up. We'll have it up so people can see it. Let's see. You talk to yourself a lot, like whether that's outside or in your mind. You do not have to have an internal monologue though to have clairaudience. Like sometimes like it's more of like an internal knowing. Some people don't have internal voices, like half of the population, but you can still have clairaudience. I just want to stipulate that. You feel like sometimes messages come directly to you. So you're watching TV shows, you're watching music or listening to music, and you're like, wow, that sounds like it was directly to me. That's because you have the ability to pick up what you need to hear from things. So like me, I watch movies and I can get divine source messages from that. Like even if it's not something they're particularly saying, it's like the general theme that I'm picking up on, and my guides send me things that way. Or music. You could also veil if you get socially anxious when in crowds. Yes. And we can talk about that in a bit. Ways that you can practice with this, meditating. Meditating and listening for internal guidance from your spirit guides. Also, a more tangible way to do this is to go out in public somewhere or even sit outside and try and isolate noises. So if you hear a dog barking, you want to try and focus on that dog, or if you hear somebody on a cell phone, you want to focus on that. It's a muscle that you can build. And so isolating noises like that gets you to be hyper aware and hyper attuned to hearing those things. Okay, another one is asking questions out loud. So I find this a lot, and people are like, I don't know the difference between what's going on internally with me and guides. My nemesis, meditation. So what you can do is ask your spirit guides questions out loud and then wait for an internal response. When you do this, that voice sounds different when you're asking out loud and then you hear inside. Okay. And sometimes you can do that with your intuition too. And then tarot and oracle cards are great. If you get tarot oracle cards, what you can do is you can ask a question to your tarot oracle cards out loud and then wait for that internal response of your thoughts and feelings and emotions about it. And then you can ask your spirit guides, well, what messages do you have for me with this card? And then you can start to see how there's a difference between what your answers are in that energy and what your spirit guides energy is, and like the difference in the type of messages. And that's a good way to start deciphering. Okay, I think that's all I have. But one more. One more. So when you're using different types of verbs to express how you're picking up on things and sensing things, for example, this one would be like if you say I heard a lot, that's probably clairaudience that you have. And I can go over some different verbs, but I heard is a good one. Like I heard this. But yes. And then Ray, did you have anything?
No, I think, I was going to talk about clairvoyance next, but I think claircognizance would be a good one to talk on the coat end of that because because I feel like claircognizance and clairaudience can get confused a bit. Because kind of how you said, I kind of feel, not that like I disagree, but this might be more of a claircognizant one where it's like you can't hear it, but like you have clairaudience, you don't hear it in like a sentence. That could even be more like claircognizant, but it also, I can see how you, like we would think that it could be clairaudience. I feel like they're also, it's so funny, like as you're saying all this, it's like all of my gifts overlap. It's
That's
like, it's just a lot of, and they work together. I'm like, because I'm like, wow, how do I, because I'm very clairaudient. It's just happened in the past few years where I can't stand noises. It drives me crazy. Now, I'm still not big on like smacking because I do that all the time and I don't know when I do it. However, like my neighbors, like they drive me nuts. And I say that in the like the lovingest way. I don't report them. I'm not like a mean neighbor, but like it bothers me when I hear their voices. And so it's nice to know that like that's a symptom of being clairaudient, because it helps me just be like, Ray, this is your problem. They're fine. They're living their life. You have an issue with like picking out sounds. So it's just something to be aware of, y'all. Like, I know I don't yell at people, but I try to just stay calm. It's like, this is a part of your gift, you know, you have to pick out things. But claircognizance is really interesting because I'm trying to think in my mind how they're different, because they are different. And I feel like the difference can be subtle. So yeah, another way I'm going to recommend another practice for clairaudience, because it's a very similar practice for claircognizance, and that's journaling. So I'm a very big advocate of writing down the messages you get from the universe, because I also feel like you can develop that gift a little bit more by writing down your messages. It's an extra like acknowledgement that the universe is giving you messages. I use, or my claircognizance, so I journal every single morning. And when people ask me, you know, how do you develop your relation? This is how I did it. I'm not saying a blanket statement. This is how everyone has to. But like my claircognizance and clairaudience came through very strong when I started journaling every single morning. You can even call it like automatic writing. I just write what is in my head. And so clairaudience is clear hearing, claircognizance is clear knowing. So it's interesting because I've gotten messages from the universe that was more like I felt it in my body and it came out in like a paragraph, or like this idea for a book. It's very strange. It's very different from clairaudience, because they didn't tell me, oh, this is the title of the book and this is what you're going to write about and this and this and this. It was a feeling from like a conversation I had or something I remembered. It was a full body feeling, and I can write a whole paragraph off of that feeling. It's very strange. Like, they also call them, when people are like, I have a download, that is claircognizance. A lot of times when you hear language like that, I had a download, or I just know this is going to happen. Because it's interesting, as somebody that has clairvoyancy, clairaudience, it's like, did I hear it? Did I see it? Did I feel it? Did I just know it? Last year when I quit my job, it was a full body gut reaction. Like, it was spontaneous. It was like this. I would call it like a download, and I just cried. The universe didn't tell me you're going to quit your job. It was a full body knowing. And when I get those, I know there's no way around it. Like, that's it. That's all it's going to have. Yeah, I would say definitely like aha moments. And so with claircognizance, if you are the kind of person that does say, oh, I just know this about people, or almost as if I'm aware of the dream I'm having right before I wake up. Yeah, I would also say it's kind of like they describe it too. It's like, why don't you want to go there? So you're like, I know it's not going to be good. It's like, you don't, but as a psychic, I can also see sometimes what's going to happen before I get to work, or like before I go to a party. Like, I know who's going to be there and how they're going to act, but I can see that in my head too. There are times when I just like, I think of going somewhere and I'm like, you can't go. I would describe claircognizance more of like gut reactions. It's different than clairsentience. It's different than clair empathy. So it's interesting. Like I said, they all overlap, but it's like, no, I know I don't need to go that way. You don't have pictures in your head. Nothing told you not to go that way. It's just like, I think I need to turn left, you know? So consider that. I'm going to look at my computer really quick to see which practices are what I have here. So like I said, automatic writing, journaling, things like that. I definitely, again, big advocate for journaling first thing in the morning, because that's when you just woke up. It's like, you know what's going to happen, but you can't stop yourself. Very much. That's a very good description, Sabrina, because how it's always felt for me, it's like a train that I can't stop. That's how claircognizance comes through for me. It's one of my strongest, which is interesting. My psychic abilities can be shifted. Like if I see a picture, I can project what my picture is on my vision, if that makes sense. But my claircognizance, it's like a train. I can't stop it. I just know it. It's going to happen. My visions can be interpreted differently. My hearing can be interpreted differently. Knowing is just knowing. It's different. It's so crazy. Meditation, also, and I thought this was an interesting one. Giving your subconscious like specific requests. So I would interpret this, or how I would say, like, talking to your subconscious mind. It's like when you put suggestions around you. When I tell people if they want to get an answer from a dream, I tell them to write down their question like 3 nights in a row and see if your dream will answer it. I don't know if that's more like it's definitely working with the intuition, but making suggestive comments to your subconscious so you start to look for the answers outside of you, because they're always there. But suggesting that I want to know this can help to start to develop that clear knowing, and start to prime your subconscious to look more for what you want to know, what you want to understand, things like that. So yeah, I think, do y'all have any, do y'all see how closely related the clear knowing and clairaudience can be? Because there are times where my claircognizance, it has words. So I'm like, oh, was that clairaudience? But no, I think it was my clear knowing, and I put the words to it. That's how I interpret it. It's very subtle differences, though, y'all. I think.
I think a good phrase for that
you want to add,
like you say, I knew. Like I heard for clairaudience, but like I knew for claircognizance. I also have claircognizance, and I have to rely on that a lot when I'm doing readings for people, because I don't have the same clairvoyance that some other people have, where they see images of what's going on with people, and I don't read auras. Like I use a lot of my clairsentience as well. We'll talk about that in a second. But sometimes I just know things. Like I know.
I want to ask you, Brittany.
Sure.
One thing I wanted to like compare it to, but I'm not a mom. But I wonder if claircognizance comes through like that motherly instinct. Like, what does your motherly instinct come through? Is it things you hear? Is it I know you don't have visions. Is it more you hear when something's gonna happen to him, or it's like you feel it? You're like, oh my gosh, I can't feel it.
It's like whole body. Like I just know, or like I know when like if he's at his dad's house, like and he's like feeling wonky or weird, like I can call him, and then when I call him, I get the confirmation, like, oh yeah, he was in some type of funky mood. But it's so, just an internal knowing. But that's very interesting. I hadn't thought about the maternal aspect with that.
But like I felt it the other day. It's like I was like, what would you compare this to? And I felt like the universe told me like a motherly instinct. I was like, that's cool, but I don't know, so I'm gonna ask a mom about it, because I'm like, y'all always say I just know. Like I knew he wasn't supposed to go on that trampoline. I knew he wasn't, and then it comes out to be right. It's crazy.
Yep. Or sometimes we'll be in the house and then he's doing something he's not supposed to be doing, and I can feel it, and then I'll go in, I'll be like, what are you doing? I just like have that extra sense. I absolutely know when my children.
Sabrina said, it's like, where does one and another start for me? So that's a really great question, Sabrina. I would really do some of the practices we are suggesting, only because how me and Brittany are talking about, they all overlap. I feel like if you choose to do some meditation or do some journaling, I feel like one gift will start to kind of, I see it in my head like a horse coming out in front of all the other horses. It's not like you don't have the other horses. It's just this one's going to start coming out in front. So like doing a journaling practice, a yoga practice, meditation, I feel like you'll start to get more clarity on which one you want to develop the most, because that one's going to come through the strongest. But like me and Brittany are saying, we have many of them, so they just kind of overlap with each other. It's kind of cool.
I think that's great advice. Even just researching, like watching YouTubes about a very specific clair that look at that horse moving forward. And then you can kind of start to, they're all different frequencies too. Like clairaudience is a different frequency than clairtangency. And so when you start to learn about each one on its individual self, then you can start feeling like, oh, this is what clairaudience frequency sounds like or feels like compared to clairsentience. Like they feel very different from one another when you start isolating them like that.
And I love how you clarify that, because I feel like a lot of people just think, oh, this is, I have one gift. You know, I think I used to think that. And then as I start developing, as I start moving forward, it's like, it wasn't until Brittany and I were like, okay, let's start doing some lessons on the clairs. I'm like, wow, I have like all of these at some level. It's just, I can, and they all come through at the same time a lot of times. It's so, like, when I give my psychic readings, so not to go off on a tangent, what I will just say is, like, kind of let go of that idea that you may just have one and see what comes. But I will say, I say that my clairvoyancy is strongest, but at times it's my claircognizance. So it's really interesting. So just keep working with them. What's your favorite spiritual practice, Brittany?
For like in general, or just as far as
like, what has helped you the most in developing your psychic intuition? What has been the practice you would say, this one I couldn't do without this one for the rest of my life to stay sharp?
The very first thing that came to my mind is like trusting yourself and the things that you're receiving, because like if you start like trusting your intuition is like huge, because all of this is intuitively like based. And so when I first started with my abilities, I watched tons and tons and tons of videos on trusting your intuition, and I had to make like conscious choices of like, I'm going to listen to my physical body and what my etheric body is telling me and follow those breadcrumbs. And when you do that, you get those little confirmations, and it's like, okay, I was right. Okay, I was right. Okay, I was right. And intuition is a muscle you build. Like, it's not something that you generally just like hop into, but you have to, like, when you're getting these clairaudience hits or you're getting these clairvoyant hits, the more you follow that and trust yourself, the stronger and stronger and stronger they get, and you get more confident in self. Like in all areas of life, not just with this. Like confidence spans across the whole board. What about you? What is your favorite practice?
When you said like first one that comes to mind, I would say yoga. And the only reason I say that is because kind of it goes along with what you're saying. It's like, if I don't do yoga, if I don't do physical practices, my body speaks to me. So if my hips are tight, if my neck is hurt or something like that, and I get my messages through my body. Like if I'm around someone and I haven't done yoga and like I'm not with it helps me get in my energy very fast. And someone comes to my energy that I feel unsure about, like my body tells me that. My mind doesn't tell me that kind of stuff. It's more of like, I get body reactions a lot. And then when my mind's not clear, sometimes I get clairvoyant. So I get psychic visions of people when they come into my energy. And if I'm not calm and clear, I have a lot of junk up there going around. So I can filter out my clairvoyant messages when someone enters, or if I'm asking a question to the universe and I can't see it because I'm very foggy up here because I haven't cleared my mind that day. I haven't cleared my body and like my feelings and emotions. So it's hard to pick because I love journaling too. Journaling would be a close second, but if I had to pick my top one, it would probably be yoga for sure.
That's awesome.
Yoga's my form of meditation, so.
I want to read these two comments, but before we like segue into that, I did want to say like the reason that we're doing this and talking about this is like, let's talk about why it's important to know where your clairs are. So your clairs, like Ray was saying, her body starts to talk to her. Like this is how your body is trying to talk to you. Like how your senses are trying to speak with you, and your intuition and your spirit guides. Like this is your clairs are how you're interpreting all of those things. And so like if you're wanting to work with spirit guides, learning about your clairs will show you how they're trying to get in contact with you, or it'll teach you how to trust yourself more, or like your body will let you know when something is out of alignment. Like you get like your central nervous system kicks on and you're like, oh, that's not for me. Or like Ray Maybe you need to do yoga because you have a lot of stress and your body's trying to say like, hey, we're not in the healthiest space right now. Or maybe we need to drink more water, like Ray was saying, when you get ringing in your ear. Like, it's your vessel trying to help you through life. And I think that's so very important too with the yoga. Like, the stronger your body, the better you eat, the more water you drink, the more exercise that you do, like, your physical body is the channeler. So the stronger that is, the more you can perceive and hear, and the stronger it gets.
I think this is why too there's so many religions out there that do focus on, like, they all have their own kind of diets, and some, not all, but a lot of the Eastern practices will have asanas with that. You know, I think Hinduism is very closely related to the yoga and things like that. So I've learned over time to tell myself, well, I'll leave that for another time, but just pay attention to things like that. A lot of religions have a diet or have recommendations for the body, like fasting and things like that, because the body's important. It is the vessel. It also needs to be clear. And yeah, my gifts became more focused when I started doing yoga as well. But Brittany, I think I only have like what time is, I think maybe 20 something minutes.
Okay.
Before having to head out. I feel like I didn't want to say that, but I was like, man, we need to get to these other two players too.
It's okay. If anybody wants to stay on afterwards and ask questions and stuff, like, I can stay on a little bit longer, especially like Tanisha, we're talking about the headaches. We can talk about that or other questions people have. So I'll do Clairsentience. So Clairsentience is very similar to Clairempathy, but different. So Clairempathy, just like real brief, is I can pick up on how other people are feeling. Like, I feel those things in my body. Like, you feel sad, I feel sad when I'm in your vibrational frequency. You don't even have to be, though. You can feel it through texts. You can feel phone calls. You just pick up on emotions very intensely and you feel them. Clairsentience takes that a little bit further, and you can pick up on what's going on in people's subconscious. You can pick up on their thoughts and like the root of things. And so, like, when I'm having a conversation with clients and we're talking, they may not tell me that they had a specific trauma when they were younger, but I can use my clairsentience to feel into their energy field and pick up on what happened to them in the past. And then also, you can kind of pick up on their future timeline, like where that person's at right now. You can see like their behavioral patterns and the cycles that they're in and how that's going to lead them and where it's going to lead them. And that's not always a for sure thing, because people have free will, right? But you have a big grand scope of what is going on in people's lives through that. This is the gift of sensing, clairsentient sensing. So you can feel what others are feeling emotion-wise and get impressions of thoughts, what's going on in their subconscious. You can feel the energy in rooms. So you can feel people's individual energies, but you can also feel like the whole vibe of the room. Like, did an argument just happen in here? Is everybody really happy in here? The whole vibe. You can also pick up on, like, if you visit different towns, the energy of the town. I recently went to like a Native American site to go pay a visit, and I could feel all of the energy that happened in the past and what was happening right now. And so it's the grand scope, not just individual people as well. This is very closely related with your solar plexus. And like when you start to get like goosebumps or your central nervous system kicks on, it's your sensing coming online. And that has a lot to do with your solar plexus. This is also when you feel like something is about to happen. You get kind of like Ray was talking about the claircognizance, but it's more specific because it's like an in-body reaction. Like you start to get really tense or you get really excited. It's more having to do with your physical body self. You can get overwhelmed by crowds really easily because you're feeling everybody's energy bodies. And there's ways that you can work with that and learn to turn it down or turn it off. But I found like in my life that before I knew I was empathic or before I knew I had clairsentience, that I thought all of that stuff was mine. But you're picking up on everybody else's stuff and trying to interpret it. So a practice that you can do with this is, or an example is, if you go to a metaphysical store and you're the type of person that roots around in the crystal bowl to try and find the one you want, that's clairtendency. If you can put your hand over an oracle deck or a couple oracle decks or crystals and feel the one that feels good for you, that is clairsentience. It is the gift of seeing but not, or sensing but not having to touch. So like I went to the bookstore the other day and I got very overwhelmed because there were so many books and I didn't know which one to pick. And I was like, oh yeah, I have clairsentience. I can just sense the book without having to look through all of the pages. And so I scanned, and then I picked the book and I picked it up, and then I read the thing, and I said, this is perfect. And it saved me like an hour of having to look through all the books. So that's one example. To practice, again, you have to lean into your intuition and listening to your body. Like this is very in-body feelings. Like when you're getting like those sensations, it's your body trying to talk to you. You can make videos. Like if you have oracle or tarot decks, you can make a video of you talking about the card and the impressions that you're getting from it, and then watch the video back. And then you can literally like see your energy talking to you and see what it looks like. Or if you have a decision that you need to make, you can make a video about decision A and decision B. Watch them back. Oh, thank you for the heart. You can watch both decisions and then juxtapose them to one another. And that's a beautiful way to start leaning into, how does my intuition talk to me? What does my energy look like? Like video record yourself, watch it back. But that's all I have for that. And that's a I feel like. If you say I feel like, that's clairsentience.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have anything to add to that. But yeah, I'm glad you brought up like going to places too, where like I've driven on road trips before and just felt the energy of that area. It's crazy. I mean, I've like mourned sites where like trees were cut down and things like that. It's very strange. It's like, so that gives me a lot more clarity on that as well. Cause like I said, we're all just, a lot of times when you start just tapping into all this, you feel just so many things at once. And I just all tell myself, I'm like, I'm just psychic. I just feel all these things. But it's good to classify them and kind of know so that you can work with them a little bit more. So that's why I like that we're doing this. And if you're psychic, you're more than likely experiencing a lot of things at once too. Because I feel like with clairsentience, like going into what I'm about to talk about is clairvoyancy, talking about getting impressions from things, you can also get visions off of your impressions from your clairsentience. And it's just like, they all work together. And so with going into clairvoyance, I don't know if I would be right in saying this, but as a clairvoyant, that is the most coveted gift that I have. When I tell people I can see certain things, that's typically is like, oh my gosh, I wish I had that. I wish that was my gift. When like it's interesting thinking about it because I love my clair knowing. I love my clairaudience. Like I could just hear things, or know what someone's thinking. I swear I know what people are thinking, man. It's like I hear their voices like crunching in my head. Like it's like I know exactly what they're thinking. Very, very interesting. But clairvoyancy, so that's clear sight, clear seeing. If you're somebody that like walks into a room, or this happens to me a lot, if I meet someone, I'll see flashes of like red in my head or blue or green. And I've learned to control my gift to where I can tell spirit, or I've made an agreement with my guides that I don't read people unless they ask me to. So it's very rare now that I just see flashes when I'm with people. However, before I would see flashes, I would see like visions. I could see people's loved ones, like they would follow me to my house, and I was just like, no. So this is why I've specifically asked my spirit team to not bring me things unless I asked to see it, or they asked me to see it. Now I can request to see into someone's energy. They may show me the pictures that I want to see, or they may not. Definitely depends on if they know that person needs the message. I think I will see it. And if they're open to that kind of thing, I will see it. It's very rare I will get a message for someone that didn't want it. But I don't do like random messages a lot either. Yes, I get that too. Small circles of color. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes mine are circles. I do associate my colors with the chakra system. This is why I teach a lot of my mentees that they need to learn the chakra system. But I feel judgmental. Oh yeah. I know a lot of people like that, Sabrina. And we do. It's interesting. They're showing me, this is again clairvoyancy. They're showing me the pictures of people in my family that I think would relate to you. So I just experienced my clairvoyancy. I didn't hear their names. I saw the faces of these people that they're like, oh yeah, what Sabrina's saying, your mom and your sister's like that. But I saw them in my head. So if you're somebody that found yourself daydreaming, like in high school as a kid, you would just sit and you could just see movies basically in your head about this love that you were going to have. I used to do this all the time with like partners. I would want to be with someone. I would just like picture our lives together. And it just looked like this whole movie. I could see it from beginning to end when we grew old. Like not everybody can see that. So it was news to me that and I told a friend, I'm actually going to go see this friend today. Like not everybody can picture a white horse in their head. They cannot see a white horse. They cannot see an apple. Brittany cannot see these things.
Nope.
So, but I think most of the population can. So that's why it's a very rare thing. But, you know, I always think it's so interesting when people are like, oh, I wish I had that one. Honestly, if my clairvoyance wasn't that great, I'd probably have better Claircognizance or Clairaudience. I could probably hear better than I could see. If some of you are here and you've been to one of my readings or seen me and Brittany do a joint reading before, I close my eyes to read you guys because I see better when my eyes are closed because I see the movie, I see the colors, I see your energy system. Like it all comes through in different ways. So let's see, how else would that show up for you? If you see movies, you see flashes of color. Some people saw spirits when they were little. So if you actually saw people that had passed over, or you saw like entities in your house, which I saw a lot when I was little. Luckily, I've been able, again, worked with my spirit team to not bring in certain entities. So I used to not be able to watch scary movies. I was very adamant about not watching haunting movies because I literally would see that stuff after I went to bed. My sister didn't have that problem. I did. And so only now can I still don't watch that stuff, to be honest. But because I can still invite it in. So with clear seeing, I would say, so aside from my journaling, like I said, my yoga helped only because it cleared my mind. But as I say that, meditation was the best way that I, developed my clairvoyancy, because with meditation, my eyes are closed and I get to receive the vision that's coming in. Whereas like yoga, I saw flashes of color. So other psychics, I know that I'm like doing the vision thing. So I'm remembering conversations I've had with certain people. That's what they were just showing me. I can literally see the conversation I was having with someone. So if you're the kind of person that can see a vacation you went on, like you could just close your eyes and you remember the coffee and like the rooms, how I wasn't so much hearing the conversation between me and this friend. I saw us sitting down talking about it. So that's a clairvoyant thing when you can vividly remember memories. Let's see. I've seen spirits who have passed. Some of them, they were so present that they looked here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've only seen that once in my life. Most of it comes through again. It's like a daydream in my room. So a lot of people I've noticed, they block out their clairvoyancy because they think, oh, I didn't see that. Mine comes through like a daydream in the room. I can see where the spirit is in the room. I was going to ask Brittany if she knows what I mean, but you probably don't. I
see mine, but mine is feeling it. Like all the things you're talking about, I don't see them. I energetically feel them. And so like I could see a spirit, but I see it in a different way.
So, yes. So that's what I see, like in my room. If I were to say, oh, I see someone standing here, I don't physically see them. I see it in my head It's like, it sounds crazy, but like,
Mhm.
it's literally like a daydream. Like my eyes are open and in my head, I can see things that other people would never be able to like use that imagination.
Mhm.
And that's what we pass it off as kids. Oh, it was an imagination. But I've seen windows open like portals, and that was a very interesting experience. But I could have swore it was right there, but I didn't see it physically. It was so.
Mhm.
This is what happens when you're clairvoyant. You see things that aren't there. It's very much like a daydream sometimes. Sometimes it's physical. Meditation I found really helped with that. Psychometry. So if you're the kind of person, kind of like what Brittany was saying, you could touch something. Psychometry is using a item to pick up messages off of the item. So people that want to be mediums typically will use psychometry. They'll ask someone, Tyler Henry off of Netflix, he does this. He asks the person to bring an item from the one that's passed away, and he starts getting flashes and messages off of it. So I think psychometry is a good tool to use. I feel like that would be a good tool to use if you're trying to be more clairsentient as well. Like you could feel the feelings off of the items, which often
Mhm.
happens to me as well. Like you'll feel tired if the person died. Like I don't know, it's like different things. I did this months ago. I saw a flash of green. I saw mud. I saw these things off of this item, and it was from like a Mayan person that like died thousands of years ago, and she was like in this forest with a lot of mud, and like I saw these images. So you could, if you want to play with your friends, y'all could just switch items from people and see if you pick up on their energy. So
Mhm. I can add one practice
also,
too. Go ahead.
oh, my last thing was like something else Tyler Henry does that I've started doing as well is like scribbling, and it could be like a way to clear your mind so you can see the movie. If you're someone that knows like you do see these flashes, it could be good to like scribble or doodle or just whatever will get you in that state of daydream, which people like to scribble to do that. If you ever notice, when people are daydreaming, they'll usually scribble on a notebook. They'll put hearts, they'll put a name, they'll just be like, but it clears their mind and they're really seeing something else while they're scribbling. So
that's beautiful. I hadn't thought about that before, like correlating, like clearing your mind through like scribbling like that. I have a friend, and her, like one of her main ones is clairvoyant. And I was talking to her, and she was trying to explain to me how I can try and amplify that for myself. And she was saying what you can do is word association and symbols. So she was like, we do this right now. So everybody think of the word birthday cake or birthday cake. Well, let me pick a different one because I said cake. Think of relationships. Okay, romantic relationship. What is a symbol that comes up in your head? Like whatever that is. Okay, so like what comes up in your head?
Holding hands with like a heart behind it.
Great. So you can build yourself a symbology dictionary. So every time that you pick up on like psychically romantic relationships, your guides, you can ask them to show you two hands holding each other.
So a lot of times a lot of times I know when people are breaking up because I'll see the hands separate. Or I see them gripping. And usually to me, gripping means somebody's either holding on, but if they're just like this, so that's interesting too. I can typically tell the energy of the relationship that I'm reading by the placement of the hands. I'm glad you brought that up, Brittany, because I actually started to develop my psychic gifts by interpreting my own dreams, going back to the dreams. My psychic dictionary is basically off of the symbols I would look up in my dreams. So if I see water, I know it either means emotions or like something subconscious is going on for my client. Like if I see water, I'm learning. And it also depends on what the water looks like. Like all of these things are things I deciphered from a dream, and they were just naturally started being added into my psychic dictionary. So that's a great. I'm so glad that you brought that up. I should have brought that up because I'm the one that knows about these psychic dictionaries. So I'm so glad you talked to your friend because that's so important. I should probably do a whole video on that, like a TikTok on it, because it helps.
And you can journal and actually make your dictionary.
I've thought about doing that lately.
Reference. Yeah.
And I thought about doing that lately and studying it a little bit more. Not like studying it, but just having it around. Because a lot of times they'll give me these random visions. And they'll on TikTok, we're reading so many people. they'll mean different things, and they're very sporadic. So I need to kind of start taking notes on the visions I get from other people, so I can start adding those in, because they get more and more specific to where you don't have to like do the guessing game as much. Which I do that. I'm gonna admit to y'all, I do guess sometimes, because I'm like, if you are on my TikTok lives, you will hear me say, wow, I've never seen that before. Let me figure it out. It happens all the time. And so, also, if you are psychic, I believe we all are in a way. Kind of what Brittany said, to work on it, work on your gifts, trust yourself. Also, don't be too hard on yourself. If you see something, if you have somebody that you trust, just tell them. Say, hey, I saw this. Don't know what it means. Doesn't have to mean anything. Like, I tell people, take it with a grain of salt. But I had this dream about you the other night. If it means something cool, if it doesn't, that's cool too. And like, don't ask for people just like believe you. Just find people you trust that you can share your visions with, your clairaudience with, your clear knowings with, because I think that supportive group, which is what we're creating. I mean, you know, it's interesting.
So you can join our Facebook group.
We're gonna plug it. I didn't mean to do this, but here we are. It's very important to have people that you can talk to about it and not feel crazy. Also, I think it's good to have these groups, because if you do start feeling crazy, like, you need, I feel like it's good to have mentors. I don't like to use the word need, but I think it's beneficial to have mentors to be like, hey, honey, I think, you know, we can help you, but I also think you might need to see a therapist. I don't think people talk about that enough in our circles. Like, but to know, like, because I've had very intense experiences where my psychic gifts caused depression and anxiety. So to have people to help ground you, like Brittany knows, like, I just saw your face, like, you know so well what this feels like.
That caused so much anxiety and depression in my life too, and it was like going to counseling and figuring out those things individually, just like you said, to like better ground myself into both of them.
Yes. And I'm excited for us to hold space for that, because there were times I just felt so alone, and I didn't know how to focus my gifts. I didn't know what the visions were. I didn't know anything that was coming through. So, even if y'all don't choose our group, just, and also be careful of people that you do choose, but there are good people out there that want to help you along this journey. And, you know, we are definitely here to help with that. So.
Yes. And I know you have to go in just a second. Again, if you want to join the Facebook group, it's Journey to Awakening with Brittany and Ray is in my bio, and it's in Ray's bio. I try to combine words there. And then if you want to stay on the know about the school, we're going to be opening up. There are subscription. You can subscribe with your email, and we're going to start sending emails out to let everybody know when that's going to get going. Should be about 2 weeks. Yeah. Yeah, join the group. We would love to have you, Soulful of Sunshine. You can
what did one of our members say? It was a spiritual Candyland.
Oh, Candyland. Oh, there we are. Spiritual Candyland.
Yeah. Was it you, Rachel? Were you the one that said it? That's funny. But that was really cool. It's like, yeah, it's something like that. We're really building it up. It's only been open about like a few weeks, maybe a month now, maybe. But there's so much in there. So.
And if you learned anything from this and you want to donate to us getting the school open,
for sure.
There is a donation tab in my bio. I think Ray has one as well. If you learned anything. Also, if you want more resources on these, like we said, learning about individual ones help, or just learning about all 8 of them, there's a link in our bios, and it says Clair playlist, and it's a YouTube playlist, and we've got tons of videos in there.
Yeah, and we should be doing these. Yeah, and we should be doing these like once a week as well. So just subscribe to me or Brittany. You may want to just subscribe to both of us or follow whatever, just because we like to switch off who's going live. So just in case, I would love to start sending emails to make sure people know what time and what day. That's like really ideal situation for me. Like when I'm going live, when you're going live.
Yeah, we could do it. We could set up like scheduled emails. Yes, we should do that.
That would be awesome. One day, guys. Someday soon. But yeah, Brittany, this was so fun. I'm so glad that we finally got to do. I think we scheduled it like last week, but I think this was great. This was awesome.
Yeah. It was awesome. Yes, thank you, everyone. Ray, do you have to get off?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm gonna stay on just because I want to talk about crystals for a minute. If you're cool with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
I
also
wish I could be here.
this because of what happened with my Reiki live.
So you're gonna do a lesson on crystals?
Yeah, I'm just gonna talk about some crystals that can help, like, with psychic abilities and help people, like my crystal people.
Nice, I love that.
So I'm just gonna
awesome.
talk about them for a minute and see if anybody else has any questions or anything. If you're cool with that.
Yeah, of course, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Y'all, this will be going in our Facebook group as well, I believe. It's also, I think, going to be on, Brittany, you're going to put it on your YouTube maybe? Or
yeah, I'll put it on my YouTube, and then I'll send it to you to put on your YouTube, and then the Journey to Awakening with Brittany and Ray, the replay will be in there as well.
Yeah, so if anybody missed it, we will be putting these lives in there too. So just letting y'all know. Awesome, Brittany. Well, yeah, I wish I could hang around a little bit longer to hear the crystals, but I'll watch it later. Okay.
All right, Ray. Well, I hope you have a fun
day. Yeah, y'all too. Thank y'all for being here, and thank you, Rachel, for sticking in here. Rachel or Rochelle? I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. But and yeah, thanks, Billy. Thank you all for being here. I saw some of y'all really stuck around, so so thank y'all for that. All right, bye guys.
Bye. All right, everybody. Like I said, I just want to talk about some crystals that can help because I know there's a lot of my crystal people in here. I'm a crystal person. I'm going to put some music on in the background just because I like to have music on while I'm talking. So if everybody gives me like 2 seconds and then we'll chat. And then if people have questions as well, feel free to ask and I can help you where I can or point you in some type of direction. Where is my playlist? All right. There we go. Okay. So first we have, this is Selenite. Yeah, I got certified as a crystal healer. Yay! Vanessa, that's awesome. I love it. Okay, so this will interest you as well. Oh, thank you for saying you like my earrings. I got these at Walmart if anybody wants them as well. So this is Selenite. Selenite is a very high vibrational, high frequency crystal, and it also can connect you to the higher etheric planes, like the angel realms, the unicorn realms. It's also one that doesn't have to be charged as often as your other ones, or you can charge your crystals on Selenite and it will help clear them. If you are an empath or a light worker, you hold on to other people's energy, taking a Selenite on and waving it over yourself and saying like, I am releasing anybody's energy that's not mine, the Selenite will take it from you. So Selenite is great. Yes, the soul star chakra too. Absolutely. Soul star chakra, for anybody that wants to know about that one, it's above your crown chakra and causal chakra, and it's where your Akashic records are held, your soul contracts. I have a couple videos on my YouTube about that as well. I just wanted to thank you for my reading that you sent me last week, Brittany. Everything was spot on. Oh, good. I'm glad, Billy. I'm glad that everything resonated with you. Thank you for telling me that. I appreciate it. I bought a selenite spear. Oh, the cute. My 3-year-old broke my selenite wand. Is there a way to save it or should I throw it out? Okay, so we'll talk about crystals breaking for just a second. Sometimes it's an accident, but I don't see anything as accident. Like I think everything happens for a reason. And like even my son has like chipped crystal before. Typically when you break crystals or like your child breaking a crystal, your crystal is holding on to something that was in your vibration or your frequency that is not in alignment with you anymore. It needs to be let go of. Like that crystal took it from you. And that's just my own personal opinion, right? And so typically what you can do with your crystal is you can bury it in the earth. Like that's a great way to bring it back to Mother Gaia, back to Mother Earth, let it transmute all of that hurt energy, that trauma or anything that it pulled from you that you don't need, is to put it back into the earth. Now, again, that's my personal opinion. But when crystals crack and break, it's like it took something from you you don't need anymore and that you need to put it back in the earth. Doesn't it normally mean it served its purpose? Yeah, it served its purpose with you, and maybe you have moved, maybe you aren't resonating with that frequency of that crystal. Like sometimes I have like all these crystals, and sometimes I don't work with all of them because I'm not resonating on the frequency of the crystal. And then a couple months will go by and then I start working with it again. And so it just, different frequencies. So selenite, this is amethyst. Amethyst is my favorite crystal. So amethyst is an overall good crystal. Like it helps with so many things, but especially if you have a lot of like monkey mind, if you experience anxiety, it's a good calming stone. So when we were talking about headaches earlier, amethyst would be really good for headaches because it's a calming stone. It amplifies your gifts, but it does it in a way that's chill. And you can ask the amethyst to help you ease into your gifts. It's like a worry stone too. You can carry it in your pocket and it'll absorb your like anxiety or the negativity that you're feeling and transmute it for you. Amethyst is great for developing your psychic abilities. Like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Another one, this is obsidian. It's a cute little heart. So obsidian is a very grounding stone. And so when you're working with your clair abilities, especially in the upper 3 chakras, it's very high vibration, high frequency. And sometimes you can kind of feel like up out of your body, not astral projecting, just like a little wonky because you're up in the ethers, the astral. And so obsidian can help you ground into your physical body. And it also helps you tune into your psychic gifts and see and hear more clearly. It's like wiping the lenses off of your third eye and where your spiritual gifts project from. But I recommend this as a grounding stone as well, but also to see things, not clairvoyancy, but like see things more clearly, if that makes sense. I bought a black crystal recently and everything has went wrong since I bought it. That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes you're not in resonance with that crystal, or the crystal is what it's doing. I'm not saying this is a fact, but what the crystal might be doing is crumbling away things that are out of alignment with you. Like, I don't know what crystal you got, but some crystals are like transformative crystals, like malachite, and it will bring things to the forefront in your life that are not really in alignment or working from you, and it will take stuff out of your life. So I would try and find out what that crystal is and do like a little bit more research on it, because that might be what's happening. Let's see. Yeah, maybe I repel crystals. I have an amethyst pendulum and it doesn't work. The pendulum might not be working too, like if you're still learning how to trust your intuition. Like sometimes I did not use a pendulum at the beginning of my spiritual journey. That's just me preference wise, because I wasn't very in tune with my intuition, and you have to be in tune with your intuition to use a pendulum. And again, it's a good practice tool to get in touch with your intuition. But if you're the type of person that's more like logical, analytical based, a pendulum is not going to be as beneficial for you. If you're very like imaginative, creative, like not having to have cold hard facts, a pendulum is going to work better for that personality style. Okay, so that might be why too. It might not actually be like the crystal, but it could be. Maybe you need a different crystal pendulum. Like a lot of people gravitate towards like amethyst and rose quartz, those type of things for pendulums. You might need something completely different. Okay, let's see. All right, so the next one, this is blue apatite. So blue apatite, this is the Seer Stone. This is helping you see into like future timelines as well, like helping you pick like which choices are going to be best beneficial for you to move forward. And that gets a lot into like clairvoyancy and claircognizance, so it helps with those. But blue apatite is great for developing spiritual gifts, especially for future timeline predicting. Okay, rose quartz is very popular. I love rose quartz. I don't always resonate on that frequency though. Like for me, malachite is better. Malachite's very intense though. But I have a very like intense, let's do all the transformation right now type of personality. Rose quartz is that softer, unconditional love, like that warm embrace, not so like jarring. So rose quartz is if you want that softer type of energy. And then the last crystal I have here, this is angel aura quartz. So this is much like selenite. This is a very high vibrational crystal. And so if you like working with unicorn energy, dolphin and whale energy, fairy energy, fairies are very earth-based energy, but they are also very etheric. So that's that type. That will help you access those frequencies and access those dimensions. Or if you're going through a lot of trauma healing, because that's so dense, not like low vibe, but like dense energies that you're sifting through and rooting through. Angel Aura Quartz, when you work with it, can help lift you up out of that so you can see through a different perspectual lens of like that more etheric, esoteric, metaphysical answers of things, like your soul contract and your Akashic records and things of that nature. This is Angel Aura Quartz, if that's the one you're referring to, and then this one was Blue Apatites. And then if you're experiencing headaches while you're developing your psychic gifts, because same, like I had major headaches like all the time, is Reiki is really great, especially for your third eye and your crown chakra. There's lots of practitioners on YouTube, and they can help you. One intending like, I need my psychic gifts to turn down. Like if you say that verbally, it's affirming to you. You have willpower over your own energy body. A lot of times we just think that what happens to us happens to us. You intending with your energy body, this is what I want, and you say, I want it turned down. Sometimes that can help. Placing crystals on your forehead, like obsidian, because it's a grounding stone. Grounding stones like jasper, tourmaline, obsidian, placing those on your forehead, those will help. Drinking water. You have to drink a lot of water if you're trying to work with your psychic abilities. Like water. Because you have to be a clear channel. Eating a lot of fruits and vegetables helps these upper three chakras. Eating like a lot of food and that is not judgment because I do too, but eating like a lot of junk food and dense foods and drinks and things like that, it clogs up these three up here, and that's where headaches come from too. Okay. So if anybody has any questions about the clairs, it's 111 on my phone, by the way. If anybody has any questions about clairs or any of the things that Ray and I were talking about, let me know. And then I'll stay on for a little while and answer them. I just wanted to talk about crystals for a minute because I know there's a lot of crystal people in here to want to work with them. You can also sleep with crystals in your pillow at nighttime if you like doing astral work. I definitely recommend sleeping with grounding crystals if you do that. Like if you're going to sleep with those higher vibrational frequency crystals in your pillow, you need grounding. It helps tie you to the earth plane and make it not so jarring coming back when you wake up. And then, of course, if anybody has questions like, oh, you said crystal person here, me too. If you have any questions like after this live, like that's what our Facebook group is for as well. Like you can ask Ray and I questions. You can ask each other questions. We have tons of resources in there for people. I sleep beside my selenite. Yeah, selenite's great because it's a clearer. You said married to it. Hey, Jenny. Yeah, it's a clearer, so it'll take away anything that's not serving you like vibrationally. Thanks, you teach me so much. I have hundreds of crystals. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm working on having hundreds of crystals as well. I think I have maybe 30. I have a really deep attachment to my crystals though. Like, not saying you don't, just like I feel like I have to spend very attentive time with each one of them because they talk to me. I speak with them. And it's probably also because I work with them with clients in sessions. And so I have to have a very intentional relationship with each single one of them. Are you able to tell what clairs we have, or is that something we have to discover on our own? Ray and I, that's not probably something that I can do in here because I would have to dig deeper into your energy body and ask you a lot of questions. But Ray and I, we can tell you in an individual session. Ray and I do readings and we do sessions. There's links in our bios for that. And because sifting through I'd have to do all 8 clairs and ask you questions for all 8 of them to help you with it. But if you want to do it on your own, what would be really beneficial for you to do is to research all 8 clairs. And there's a link in mine and Ray's bio, and we have tons of videos in that YouTube playlist for all of them. And so researching each one individually will help you determine which ones that you're more prevalent in, if that makes sense. I love clairs, but know nothing about it. It just draws me. Yeah, check out that playlist that we have, Melody, and then you can learn all about the different ones. Let's see. We all need more crystals. Yeah, I'm a huge crystal proponent. I love crystals so much. They're even in my oxalotl tank. Which ones are in your oxalotl tank, Rochelle? Oh, to preface that too, not all crystals can go in water. Not saying that with you, Rochelle. I just want to say that. Like, not all of your crystals can go in the sun. Okay? Not all of your crystals can go in water. Like, if you're wanting to do that, like, bring them in the bathtub with you. Make sure you research so you don't mess them up. Okay, I have them in the bed with me. I take my crystals everywhere all the time. Okay, I sent requests to both your Facebook groups. Okay, cool. After I get off of here, I'm going to start accepting everybody's requests that join the Facebook group. Where do you guys get your crystals? I usually get mine from my local metaphysical stores because I like using my Clairsentience to pick which one and listening which one wants to come home with me. But you can, there's lots of places on Etsy, and there's very like ethically sourced. Just do your research. But if you don't have metaphysical stores around you, a lot of people online, what they'll do is they'll make crystal grids. So they'll have like amethyst, and they'll have like 1 through 64, and then you can pick the number. So you can use your clair abilities to pick which one that you want specifically, if that makes sense. Bumblebee's Jasper. I just learned about Bumblebee Jasper. That's so funny that you're saying that. And I was like, I need some of that. What does just do your research mean? So some people don't ethically resource, or they don't have real crystals. Like, you want to look at the reviews and see what people are saying. Like, some people just go to like Michael's and pick up like fake crystals, right? And so that's what I mean. Like, look at people's reviews and what people are saying about those, and like where they're getting their crystals from. I got them local and hunt for special ones everywhere. That's like, if you can go to a metaphysical store too, and you're very in tune with your clairsentience or your clairtangency gifts, you can hold them and feel the vibration and the frequency. And all crystals, like if I have a whole bowl of blue apatite, not all of them I'm resonating with. Like, some, they are all different frequency, all of the ones in the bowl. And so you may have to put your hand in and like feel which one is for you. So like, if you can visit the local shop, that's gonna be the best. Or like I said, finding like an ethically sourced one online. We should be able to Google metaphysical stores near us. Yeah, you can put like you can literally put like crystal shop. That's a good way to find one. Metaphysical store, spiritual store, and see if there's one near you or around you. They're popping up everywhere. Like, there's so many more than there used to be. So you should be able to find one like relatively close. If not, there's so many online. There's lots of TikTok crystal people. Like, get on Crystal Talk and find. And this is a good thing too. When you are purchasing things from people online like that, watching their content is a great way to decipher if that's something good for you. Like, just with readers, like watching people's content, like, how do I feel watching this person? Like, you can pick up on the vibe, right? So get on Crystal Talk and find you some crystal resource people, right? And then watch their content, and then you can visit their website. A lot of them have those crystal grids like we were talking about, and you can pick the number, the specific one that you want. No, Lori, I will not get tired of you. I love answering questions. That's also why Ray and I started the group, because in the school, when we were on our journeys, I didn't know anybody. I had one friend that was into spirituality, and like Ray and I spent hundreds and thousands of hours doing all this research, and just we're like, let's save everybody a lot of time and energy and compile things for people. I'm glad that you're here, Lori. Okay. All right, everybody. Again, check out that playlist. If you have videos about the clairs that you really love and that you've watched, please send them to us. I would love to receive more resources, because I only have so much time and energy to watch things, and we only post things that Ray and I have watched. We don't post things in there that we just like, here you go. I have watched all of them, and so has Ray. And so this is, you have to use your own discernment and what you believe, like your own value system. Okay. But these are things that we have watched and resonate with me and Ray. And so we're not just like tossing you information that we haven't like approved with us. If that makes sense. But we would love to watch the content that you have too. So if you have content for us, please send it our way. We would love that. Yeah, Gaia, if anybody wants like a really cool spiritual streaming service, like somewhere that talks about real woo and esoteric things, like dimensions and frequencies and star seeds and all that stuff, Gaia.com, great. It is like a candy land of spiritual things. And that's an app and you can watch it on your TV. Do you do past life regression? So I don't call my past life regression because what I do is I do Akashic record readings. And when I do Akashic record readings, all readers are different. When I do it, I go in with the intention with your guides and the pinnacle and your Akashic records with, we're going to show you what you need to see to move forward in your human life experience in this one. So sometimes past lives come up, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it is things that need to be taken care of in the here and now that are going to help you progress further than if you know what starseed lineage you're from. So in my understanding of the Akashic records is your guides show you what you need to see right now. Like yesterday I did a Reiki session, but the Reiki session turned into past life, like soul retrieval. And sometimes that happens. And we went and found one of her previous incarnations that was like 1,000 years old. And then we dug deeper and then went even further back. But that's because she needed to meet that version of herself to help her in this incarnation. And so a lot of that's like intention, like why are you going in trying to find your past lives? And sometimes you do past version healing as well. Like I have a modality where I go back and I find past versions of yourself in this incarnation that are caught in energetic timestamps and help release them. So, but there's lots of past life regressionists, like I said, that are different. And then they go in and they can specifically pull those for you. That's just me, how I do it. What is timeline shifting? Timeline shifting is embodying and bringing forth a version of yourself out of the ethers, like a concurrently running timeline version of you, and pulling them into this now frequency. And so that you can shift into that. Like it's a version of you that's already out there. If you believe in like parallel universes, that's already living that experience. And sometimes you can shift your whole entire life in like a split second. That works for some people by making big jumps, big leaps. And then other people, it works with doing micro shifting. That's where you make little teeny tiny course corrections over and over and over again. And you keep getting on your preferable timeline. So that's timeline shifting. That's where you're course correcting to get into alignment with your soul purpose, your soul contract, what's in your Akashic record. It's just course correcting. Me, I'm the type of person that makes drastic changes all of a sudden. Like, just split second decision, completely shift. Other people, that doesn't function for them. Like, they have to make very small incremental changes so it's not so jarring. I'm a Aquarius and I like that energy. But that's not for everybody. Just like malachite isn't for everybody and rose quartz isn't for everybody, right? It's two different vibes. And so you can do that several different ways. I've got a 5-year plan to be living in an RV full time. Okay, so Sabrina, if you are trying to timeline shift and collapse that timeline faster than 5 years, something that you can do to help timeline shift is you can envision what it would feel like to have that, because all these manifestations and everything underneath that is how would I feel, is the emotions. When you can feel into what it would feel like to have that, like what would you feel? Would you feel excitement? Would you feel freedom? Would you feel peace? Would you feel serenity? Would you feel confident and grounded? If you can feel into that instead of just thinking about it, that is timeline shifting, because the universe works like an algorithm. And what you put out into it, it'll bring you more of. It says, oh, you like that? I'll bring you more. If you're putting out negativity into the unifying field, you get more of it. You say, I want to feel this more amplified, these emotions, it'll bring you that. And because your manifestation is a part of that, it collapses the timeline faster. So right now, you see it as a 5-year plan, and that might be, right? I'm not dipping into your energy, but if you want to bring it in faster, take the manifestation out of it. Like, don't forget about it, but just take that part out of it for just a second and think about, how am I going to feel when I have that, and feel it right now. And I know sometimes that's a little woo esoteric, because it's like, how do I feel something that hasn't happened yet? Right? Think of a memory or a time that you did feel that, and then associate it. So like, maybe it's like, not you, but like if you have a child and you're feeling very excited and you're like, oh, I was so excited when I had my baby. Think about how that felt and say, I want more of that. Right? It doesn't have to be an exact correlation with that manifestation thing that you're trying to bring in. This went way course correction here. It went way off into left field, but that's okay. Sagittarius with the procrastinating Gemini, feeling peace and serenity. Yes, it is recorded. I'm going to put it up later this evening on YouTube and in our Facebook group, and so all of it will be up here. I'm feeling it, just trying to manifest. Yeah. And I didn't mean to like forget about your manifestation. Just the more we feel into those things, the quicker it brings those in. And now that you're having a hard time, I just wanted to say that for anybody that was in here. Just trying to manifest stuff. Okay, everyone. Well, this was lovely. I had such a fun time. I know Ray did too. And we appreciate you all being here and joining in and contributing and asking questions. And it helps other people learn too when you ask questions. So thank you very much. I hope everybody has a wonderful Sunday. And like I said, I'll have this up later on YouTube, and join our Facebook group, and we're going to have a lot of fun. It's already a lot of fun. Oh, you're welcome, Rochelle. You're welcome. You are welcome. And I will see everybody later. Have a great day. Bye.